Pleuroperitoneal cavity, this entire cavity where the pleural system and the abdominal cavities meet, so pleuroperitoneal cavity all the way through here. Okay, so we have the stomach right here, down here connecting the spleen to this curvature area. We have the gastrosplenic ligament, we have the spleen itself, and then finally down here, valvular intestine. Well, it looks almost like it's continuous with the back, doesn't it?
Yep.
So I would say mesocolon just runs along here. Oh, it's right here, remember? Mesocolon. So it kind of comes down through here all the way along this kind of brownish area is mesocolon. It's eventually going to lead us down by the kidneys, all the way down here near the rectal gland. So rectal gland, kidneys, mesocolon up through here. That's how we need it to be. We have liver, 2 liver lobes. We have the duodenum through here. The duodenum is going to lead us to the pancreas, which is identifiable because of the large amount of vasculature on the underside. Then we have valvular intestine right there. Very, very easy to see. There is one thing that we cut out for the most part to be able to access all of the organs, so we can't see it, but there should be a very thin ligament connecting all of this to the area near the dorsal aorta, which is called the greater omentum. So there should be a ligament here called the greater omentum. We cut ours out. Okay. Place on that. Okay. We have the oral cavity, quite obviously, leading down into the pharynx. We have right here, this hole is the spiracle, the inside of the spiracle, which can be seen from the exterior also. Right there, there's a spiracle, and that leads in like that spiracle. Then internal gill slits, very obvious, easy to see, along with the small gill rakers within the gill slits, the small kind of finger-like projections. We have that leading back into the esophagus back there. The oral cavity leads into the esophagus, which that leads down into the stomach, which leads down into the greater curvature of the stomach right here on the outside, and then the lesser curvature on the inside. Then we have the lobes of the pancreas. We have the ventral lobe, and then the dorsal lobe on the bottom leads into the valvular intestine, right next to the spleen, and eventually all the way down into the cloacal opening. Okay, so we have the esophagus leading down into the stomach, which we have cut open. You can see many small shrimp that our shark had feasted upon shortly before it was killed, so that we could learn from it. Thank you, shark, for your sacrifice. Stomach continuing down and down and down into the duodenum, past the pyloric sphincters. All pretty easy to take a look at. And then we have the lobes of the pancreas. Once again, easy to see the pancreas thanks to the vasculature, but lobes of the pancreas right here. 1 and 2. Easy to see, 1 and 2. And then that leads once again into the valvular intestine, past the uterus, to the rectum, which we have cut open and dissected, so right there, rectal opening. And then we have the Then, looking for all the world like a gigantic penis, we have the rectal gland right there.
Highly scientific.
It leads down into the rectum again down here. Okay, so we have the right lobe of the liver and the left lobe of the liver. Right, left. Spleen, once again. And the median lobe of the liver is much smaller, but this is the median lobe, right in the middle. Makes sense. And then, see if we can't find the gallbladder again. The gallbladder looks like it was kind of punctured in ours, but the gallbladder should be right around here. Kind of a long longitudinal extension rather than a circular organ. And on to urogenital systems. We have down here the kidney. It's kind of difficult to see, but we ran the scalpel right underneath there, so you can see the kidney right through there. And then right next to the kidney, pretty tough to see in ours, there should be an accessory urinary duct.
Are you guys paused?
Welcome back, viewers. We learned that Tiffany's group now has a moldy cat. So, getting back to our shark. Our shark is female. We have a large ovary right there. We have very nicely sliced it open accidentally, so ovary. Then, leading down next to the ovary is going to be the mesovarium, which you can kind of see right there. It's very, very delicate. Then leading down, we'll have the oviduct, which is running not very far away from the dorsal aorta, but runs all the way down.
I'm telling you to calm down.
And down. And down. To the uterus, which our uterus is near the valvular intestine. They should be connected way up here, but again, like I said, we cut the greater omentum ligament, and therefore things are not hanging quite like they should be right now. But that's our uterus. Way up here, kind of tough to see in ours, but we also have the ostium tubae, which just are what lead down into the ovaries.
The cortex is the outer bit. The medulla is the inner bit.
Then, once again, we have kidney, rectal gland right there. Again, giant penis-like thing. And that finishes up our shark. We have the ventral aorta way up here. You can see where I'm moving. Right underneath that is the ventral aorta. That leads down. We have the atria on either side. They are the brownish looking things. It's kind of tough to see, but you can see it leading down. Atrium, and then very white here is the ventricle to pump the blood. Leading down right through here, we have again a conus arteriosus lichen nectaris. And running up along either side here, you can actually see the coronary arteries that feed the heart with blood. You can see the pink right through here. That's a coronary artery. There's some on either side of the conus arteriosus. And then surrounding is just the sinus venosus. Okay, so looking up in the oral cavity, we have the internal carotid arteries up here at the top. Internal carotid artery. Leading down on either side is hyoidian artery. Running up the middle, extremely faint in our specimen, are the paired dorsal aortae, but they run right along through there. underneath this white ligament type of material, you can just faintly make out the branches of the efferent branchial arteries. As we learned in class, efferent means bringing away from, so it's taking blood away from the gill rakers back into the body. The afferent would be taking blood into the gill rakers to pick up blood, to pick up oxygen. Down here, we have very large and in charge, barely able to be seen at all, subclavian artery. Not very highly visible in ours, unfortunately, but subclavian artery, pretty important artery. Then we have the dorsal aorta, very obvious. And then our first big arterial branch is going to be this, which is the celiac artery. Okay, so welcome back, viewers, to Sean and Drew's wild ride through the body of a shark. We have the celiac artery here. Pairing with that is going to be the pancreatico-mesenteric artery, which runs right next to the hepatic portal veins, which are going to be running along right next to it. So this yellow area, you can barely see a red area. That is the pancreatico-mesenteric artery, celiac artery. When you get down here, that's going to merge into gastrohepatic artery. And eventually that's going to divert again some into hepatic artery, but also some into gastric artery, which again you can see that theme of 3 branches of the gastric artery, 3 big branches at least. And then we have around over here, you can see the duodenal artery running right next to this yellow. There's a faint line of pink duodenal artery feeding into the duodenum right here. There are pyloric veins and sphincters, which are also in this area, right around the pyloric sphincter, which is here. Moving over to the valvular intestine. There's also an artery, which you can see right there.
That's the anterior intestinal artery?
That's the anterior intestinal artery right on the valvular intestine. The pancreatico-mesenteric artery is still running down, so we had it run down pancreatico-mesenteric, running all the way down and down the valvular intestine. When we get down here, we have these 2 large arteries. This one that starts first and finishes lower, so branches off first but finishes lower. That's the anterior mesenteric artery. And then branching off later but finishing more anteriorly, we have the gastrosplenic artery, again coming off of the dorsal aorta. On the rectal gland, we have that artery right there that's highly visible. That's the posterior mesenteric artery.
Well, I know, it's just, we can't really see it.
And then finally, we have
This, and then when I was working is the...
We have right here the remnants of the caudal vein and the caudal artery. And the caudal artery is closer to the notochord remnant than the vein. So vein on bottom, artery on top.